So I just wanted to bring some ideas about what we are looking for to do in these meetings, which are different from the monthly presentation of layouts. Um, and let's see if I can get. Yes. Uh, the first question is, as you can see, what do you want and what would interest you as members? We have a small group today here, but I think we have to ask people uh, about the time. We picked 2 p.m. to give a chance for people from the West Coast to participate, and the day. If any of you have any ideas about what you'd feel like a better time, and I'm giving some examples of the type of thing which we want to discuss, which is number two, what's new on your layout or what's new in your plans. Number three, has the internet influenced your approach and is it useful? It has been for me personally. Uh, what are your favorite go-to sites on the net for information? There are a number of iOS groups which have useful information. If you want to consult somebody, for example, you can consult people who are actual engineers or conductors in the past or retired. And how do you operate your layout? Do you operate uh, do you operate alone with a group and so on? And a few more ideas. What type of layout do you model or plan to? What type of control? And what we want to generate is discussion among you as members. Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to present. This is what we're working on. Thank you. Over to you, Malcolm.
Please feel free to unmute yourself. And the idea here is to have a discussion and input from you people. So anybody want to lead off? Go ahead.
Was on the first point, Saturday at this time seems like a good time in general for me. I'm retired, but when I am working in the winter, Saturday is one of my 2 days off a week. So I'm off Tuesday and Saturday. So I could attend these meetings right through the winter as well.
Okay. Anybody not? Well, if you're here, I guess I assume you're okay with the time. But if it generally wouldn't work for you, we'd like to know that too.
Starting May, it wouldn't work for me and also for Steve because we have a large scale operating group we're in that's Saturday morning. It's usually finished mid-afternoon, but it would be a bit tight to be here for two.
Okay. Yeah, maybe during the summertime, a lot of people would be busy generally on Saturdays or the weekends anyway. When does your operating session start?
It starts at 9 in the morning, but we
Oh,
often have like social time in the afternoon, so often not home until like 3 or so.
Yeah. No, I was thinking more about when in the
Oh,
year.
when in the year. It starts mid-May and it goes
Mid-May.
until about Thanksgiving.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think perhaps June, July, August will probably be out, but we'll see how it goes. Anybody else got thoughts on that one?
Well, for me, it's not a particular problem. I'm retired and lots of time in my hands, so it's all pretty free. So if others have better times and for them, then I'm happy to oblige.
Good. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned that we only have, what, we have 9 people out, but maybe we'll have to look at that.
One thing I found with the invitation was buried in something else, and that's why I missed it.
Buried in something else.
Yeah, I had to go digging. I had to do an email search to find it, but that's okay. I'm just saying there's something.
Oh, that's interesting because I usually just send out the invitation by itself, maybe with a little introduction, but that's about it.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. There you go. Well, I responded to it with that's part of the problem, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I got
yeah,
mine, it was clear.
yeah. Yeah, you sent the link, I think, didn't or the PowerPoint, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I forgot that to add the invitation on there. So
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. So,
Okay. What about internet and sites? Does anybody have any particular sites that they really like to go to for prototype information or modeling information?
well, I do. There is anybody familiar with DJ's trains? This is a CSX engineer, about 25 years experience, but he's also a licensed drone pilot. And he shows some great drone views of industries, which, well, for my interests, um, and he especially points out how it is in the real life on the railroads, how many spurs you would have on an industry. Some good examples of industry if you're into industrial modeling. That's one thing that's useful. And the other one is the operations special interest group if you're into operations,
Mm.
where you can consult somebody if you have a question. For example, I had a question once, how far would one run with a conductor on the back of a freight train? Uh, because I had a 20-mile distance, so I had to know whether that was realistic or not. But these sort of things are what I use. For electronics, of course, there's several good sites if you have a question about any wiring problems and so on. See anybody else?
I don't actually. Well, I will go on YouTube and dig in there to get stuff. But often I get I get hits. I get leads, I would say, from various uh, I groups IO,
Mhm.
and people say, "Oh, this is interesting," and I say, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting." So that's takes me to certain sites, I would say.
Yes.
When
Any
when
follow,
things when something's new comes up, somebody will say, "Oh, look at this," So it's kind of that's how I see it. That's how I come across them.
Okay.
So you're usually searching for something in particular.
Well, if I go on, I will search on Zoom. If I well, I'm just trying to think of an example. Not really electronics, but mainly to do with the arts and photography and stuff like that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course, you gave us that wonderful presentation on AI the other day. That was well received.
Yeah,
Right.
it's quite incredible what that can come up with.
Hmm.
I had one recent. Did I send you the one about the RFID reaction?
I don't
Uh,
believe so.
No, no.
uh, we had a merge Zoom meeting, which is Model Engineer Electronic Railway Group meeting,
Hmm.
and it was the 31st meeting on RFID development.
Hmm.
And basically, we're in the process of developing a low-cost RFID system that's available to the members and the printed circuit boards and all the rest of it. And anyway,
Um,
this was the 31st meeting, and it's all concerned with things like antennas and things like that. And what came out of it from Group I, from Note GBT, was look more like a thesis out of a out of a 2.5, three an hour and a half meeting. It was really quite incredible. It went into great detail about the discussions on the antennas, and it was really quite something. Uh, Now then, most of us knew what had been discussed, and it was still in our mind. But having a paper copy of it for future reference was kind of handy.
Yeah.
Malcolm, maybe you can tell us about RFID while you talk.
Yeah,
I think you wanted
please.
to talk about your layout. Yes.
Yeah.
What is our RFID, first off?
Well, the best way to describe it is when you use your tap card on your machine, that's RFID.
Okay. What does the acronym stand for?
It stands for radio frequency identification.
Ah.
And basically, I use it on the layout. I use it for data collection. I know that we have a 2.5 hour operating session. And if I want to we run 26 trains. And when I want to find out what has happened, where things went, and why there was a hold up, why there was a delay, the RFID, each train has a tag on it. So as it goes around the layout, it triggers an aerial, it picks up on a reader.
Mm.
And so I know exactly where a train has been in the course of this 2 hour session. Now then, that's the first application. The next application is to tie that in with a timetable. So we can say this train has arrived, and it will update the timetable, say, yes, the train has arrived at such a time, and it was late, or it's due in 5 minutes, and that sort of thing. So that's the other application. Now, the other application is train on track identification. Not only can you tell that's the train on the track, on a particular track, you know which train is on which track. So, for example, if you were to use for example, if you were working wave freight, for argument's sake, you could say which wagons were to be picked up and whether they had been picked up. So it would actually keep track that you were still running to schedule. Mm-hmm. So that's basically an outline of what you can do with RFID.
So does each piece of equipment have a sender on it?
Well, you can do that. It depends which application you want. At the moment, I just have 1 or 2 tags on the train.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that that's train number 5A. I don't need to know how many carriages it has. One of the carriages carries a tag, and so I can actually bring it into the station and change the locomotive and send the train out again. Yeah. But that's now still a train, but it's got a new engine on it.
Okay.
So
what hardware do you need for that, Mike?
What I'm using is my neighbor up the road is well, he used to work for Nortel, anyway, the competition to Bell anyway. They are providers for, and anyway, he's retired early, and so he's quite smart on software. He's developed the software called Data Logger that runs on the PC, and that watches what's happening. At the end of the day, I get about 800 signals that I can analyze. So, for example, I can analyze them in Excel because if I've got this spreadsheet, if you like, with 100 lines on it, 1,000 lines on it, and I can filter out what happened to train number 5, and it just says number 5 went there, and I can just extract that data.
I wondered how you generated those very elaborate spreadsheets on your operating sessions.
Yeah, well, my background is tests, so I did a lot of data reduction.
Okay.
So,
are you all familiar with Mike's layout and what he does, what he generates in the way of information? No?
I'm not.
I am, but it's a good time maybe for Mike to show us.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, okay, I can. Well, I guess the best thing is to show you the last report. And you'll see some of the RFID information in that report.
What about that little PowerPoint that you sent
Yeah,
me?
you can show that one while you're at it. That's more or less an overview of the layout. So yeah,
But
you
it
can put
also
that.
That
includes the
would be
operating reports.
I'll do that later. Yeah,
Yeah. Do you have that one to show or?
you got it there, haven't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, if you want to put that up.
Okay.
It's probably a good idea that you do see this before I go into the RFID.
Oh, here we go again. Sorry. Is it showing up?
Just hang on. I can bring it up if you can't.
Should be on your screen now.
I see it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, if you go to the next slide, I think that's sort of.
Yeah. Sorry. Just give me a second here.
sorry, my battery got off.
There we go.
Okay, this is the layout and it occupies the full basement. So you can see it's quite large, but it's very simple in actual fact. Basically, I like large radiuses. I like to see the back end of the train going in a different way I like it all to go the same way. I don't like to see the front and the back end. So it's a minimum 5 foot radius, so you can imagine what it's like. If you stand in the middle where you see pit, it appears that the trains are going in straight lines, and that's what I wanted to have the effect of.
Hmm.
And basically, it's double track, so it's typical British two track main line. It's got good gradius. Next slide. So basically, what happens is that you have the network, and that's where the trains run around. And there are about 8 to 10 trains actually going around that network at any given time. And they keep going around there until they're required to arrive into Windermere. So they're scheduled to arrive in Windermere, and you've got to make sure that they're in the right spot to do that on time. On the other hand, there are trains coming out of Windermere. There's only really one station, and that's Windermere. Next slide. So this is the actual timetable, and you can see there we start at 10:40 in the morning and finish at 2:25 in the afternoon. And you can see there that the first train is at 10:40, and the RFID says that the train did in fact arrive at 10:40. And the next one was 10:50, but it's actually arrived 4 minutes late. So that's been flagged as a variance. So you go through this, and basically the people in Windermere are trying to get the trains out on time, and the people on the network are trying to get them to Windermere on time. Next slide. So it takes about 6 people to operate it. Gerald Harper is one of the operators now. You'll probably recognize him. And Keith Mohan there. But there you see it's laid out to the different operating slots. Some people operate more than one slot, which works out well, because if you get somebody in training, you can put 2 people in to help. So the key is to keep people moving and keep them engaged. So this is that was the 250th operating session. We're now up to 263.
Wow.
Next slide.
When did you start this, Mark?
Well, that's a long story, that. Well, I started operation in about 2000.
Okay.
but I went to Germany, so it stopped for a while.
Okay.
So next slide. So these are the locomotives that I run. Then these are what we would use in the course of the session. Now then you'll see there you got all those in orange. Those are all express locomotives, trains. So you got 1.2, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. That's the same carriage set. It just, every time it comes into Windermere, it gets a new locomotive and goes out again. Then it comes back in again, gets a new locomotive, goes out again. And then you'll see there that there are goods trains. There are 8 goods trains there. And these locomotives, I cycle through these over 3 sessions. So it's about 75, 70, 80 locomotives that are run regularly.
Mike, how many do you have on the layout at a time?
On the network or on the layout, we have 20. We have 20. We have 30 out there. We have 30 engines out there.
Operating at once?
At once, we would have probably about 13.
Wow.
Okay.
No, then, yeah, I'll carry on with the next slide and I'll.
Okay.
So this gives you an idea of how we're able to do that. We have actually, it's all DC. Initially, when I started this, I had visions of going to DCC, but after about 3 sessions, I decided everybody agreed that it really doesn't lend itself to DCC. Basically, because you're sending trains from one room to the next, and you just can't switch. You know, one operator's got 3 trains. How do you do it with DCC? So it's a very, I'd say it's a sophisticated system. It's a sophisticated form of cab control, and it's very reliable. We've never had to stop, finish a session because of electrical problems. So essentially, it's all geared to user operation. I don't think my vision is that you shouldn't need to look at the control system. You should just work it by hand, like driving a car. You don't look at the controls. So that's part of the, you know, if you take your eyes off the layout and you can charge of 2 or 3 trains, you're going to lose it.
More ways than one.
Oh yeah. I should have, there's lots of good rhetoric going on at the same time because trains overrunning sections and all this sort of thing. So yeah. So on the next slide, I don't have any sidings. This is how we actually we can actually bring up these trains to add new trains to the set in the course of the session or at lunchtime. Generally, that's when we do it, and we do it at the end of the session. We'll change the trains over. So there are 17 of these storage cassettes, so you can store complete trains. I just wouldn't have room for the sidings.
Is this a manual system?
Yeah, I did think of automating it, but it's the nearest thing I can do is to the remote. I don't know if you've ever seen the remote. There's a name for them. There's a continuously moving elevator.
Yeah.
And I did think about doing that, but in actual fact, it's not that difficult.
Right.
Yeah, it works out quite well. Next slide. So this is actually Windermere. You can see there are 4 platforms, and there's a set of goods sidings and a motive power department there, and the engines come in and out of the motive power section and come out to head up a new train. They get turned back, and the storage is quite interesting. because you've got to. There's not much room, so every locomotive you've got to have manage the motive power as you would with a real motive power depot. So when the engine coming in gets cold watered and the ash dropped and there's a coaling stage there. So next slide. So this is how the staff work at Windermere. There are four or five people there, and there are four controllers essentially. There's a fifth one if you count Blackpool, but because of this cab control, any one of those operators can work anywhere within that area. So you just convert the block, send the block over to somebody else to operate. So the shed operator can hand control over to the driver or to the goods yard operator. And generally, the traffic controller / station master is responsible for taking the trains out. So in other words, the driver will set up the train in the station, and the traffic controller, when the time is right, will pull the train out. And that helps you to keep the trains running on time, because the driver can then go ahead and do different things and forget about the train that is left in the platform. So the key part, Gerald often works the Blackpool slot, and that's quite interesting because he's got to make sure that he pulls the trains into Windermere on time and gets them out, and he's got to leave the line clear so he can take them out. So it's all, most of the people, when people see this operating, they say, is this DC? I say, no, it can't be. It's not DC. It's DC. You got all those trains moving around, and people say, how do you manage it? Well, you do. Next slide.
I guess that's it.
Yeah. So I can show you the RFID stuff if you like.
Sure. So I assume your focus of your operating sessions are on the passenger trains?
No, it's got both, but compared to North American, yes.
Okay.
Perhaps I can, when I go back to this, let me go to screen share and I'll.
Mike?
Yeah.
What era are you modeling roughly?
The schedule it's 1953.
Okay.
But I've got a very generous with I run German, I run
Okay.
Canadian. I've even got a TTC car that appears on occasional. So the model itself is actually modeled on the area where I was raised, where I spent my youth, I would say. It's the north of England. So it's got excellent of the Settle Carlisle as a scale viaduct of the Artengil Viaduct on there, which is 8 feet long, 10 feet long, sorry. And that took me about a year to build that.
Okay.
And then the Windermere itself is pretty well bang on size. It's 22 feet long. So when you model a real railway, you realize how, Windermere was a good choice because
Yes.
it's they actually ran a lot of long trains there because of the holiday excursions. So in that sense, it's good. It has a lot of passenger traffic.
Right.
We run 8 goods trains a day in a session. So the yard operator has to make up 4 trains and break down 4 trains.
Good. I always get the reports from Keith.
Yeah. And Keith is the standard slot. He's the motive power man. He works the shift.
Yes.
Mm. So
But
do you have like British Rail or any of the big four or all of them or?
no, generally it's the LMS and the constituent companies thereof. So it's sort of I run Midland Railway, Lancashire and Yorkshire, and the LNWR.
Mm.
But that's if I'm buying locomotives. I've just bought I've just put my order in on a Rapido Lancashire and Yorkshire engine.
Mhm.
So the other day, yesterday. So despite having all the engines, it's you can always find room for more, and that's what but I don't like to leave the engines in a box. I don't believe in that. If I've bought them, I'm going to use them, and that's why why the roster system works very well. I circulate my way through about 100 engines.
Yeah, I noticed from your reports too, you also report engine failures so you can follow up on it later.
Yeah, well, I like to fix them before the next session.
Hmm.
Uh, the report really says how I fixed it. Uh, and that way you don't end up with a pile of stuff that doesn't work. You sort of puts the discipline in there to make sure everything is working.
Mhm. Is anybody else running passenger as a major part of a layout?
You're muted, Bruce, if you're trying to.
Most of mine is past year. I'm modeling fairly current with Go and VL operations out of Toronto.
Mhm.
I run quite a few passenger trains on mine. CNR, CP. I run all of the Ontario lines basically.
Mhm.
Algoma
I've
Central,
got an eight
Ontario
car.
Northland. Pardon
I've
me?
got an 8-car Go train which I run.
Yeah.
Uh, I can't get it longer. It won't go into Windermere.
A GO train in England. There you go.
Actually, Jason Strawn has used my layout for some of his British stuff in the past.
Oh, has he? Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Okay, let me show you the report on the last session. That way, Malcolm was referring to the what the about the repairs. They call it the snag sheets.
Mhm.
So if you let me share screen, I'll show you the last report.
Where is it? I swear they've changed all this. Where is that? Post tools for share. Okay. Okay, there you go. You should have it.
Nothing yet.
I don't see it being offered. So just hang on. Ah, here we go. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Right. Okay. This is the report on the 260-second session. Now then, before we have before the session, the week before we have a night shift, and we set up the trains for the next session, and that takes about 4 people to do that. That's we have visiting engines, and that belongs to David Knight. So those are we can accommodate them into the schedule without any problem. So these were the engines that we used on the last session. Some of them I didn't use because David has brought his own. David brought these engines here. So I didn't need them. So they will get recycled into the next operating session. So there were some problems with the we ran into problems, but it turned out that it wasn't the engines itself. It was the track, and I'll get into that. So this is the same. You've seen this before. These are the people that were actually operating. Yeah, the other one. Actually, strangely enough, Keith wasn't there. Neither was Gerald. We have about 12 people that actually rotate through. If nobody, this was the percent on time. This was the arrivals and departures, and 81% is kind of interesting. That is actually about prototypical for a railway, if you follow it. Don't know about Canadian. Now, then you've seen this before. I've walked through this, and this was the actual results from this session. What can't these are goods trains here. So goods A comes in, it gets broken up. Before it comes in, he's making up goods E, and then he's also starting to make up goods B. So those are good. These are the long goods. All these do is they come in and they drop the coal wagons, basically. So in actual fact, there are 11 goods trains on the session. So this is where the RFID starts to kick in. So let's see if we can get it better than that. Yeah, there we go. So basically, these are the trains that are going around the network. And you see these are the 8 goods trains. And this is where they go. These are actually node points, if you like. So these are going around a controlled loop. So and these are 501 readings taken. And these are if you follow that down, you can follow where the train actually went by using the time scale. I don't show the time. I do on some occasions in the report. I have written a diagnosis on why a train was late, and because it got held up in certain places and all that sort of thing. This gives a clue as to how busy everybody is, and you can see how many loops it made, and how many each train made. Oh, this is the history of the sessions here. So you can see when you were busy, when you had a lot of activity, and when you didn't. And here's the percent on time. So we can see the number of trains we ran, the number of points, and what was the impact. Here we hadn't, it was quite busy actually, and yet we got 100% of the trains through on time. We tried to run at a reasonable speed, but it's fast enough that it doesn't get boring. People say, do you run at speed, the scale speed? If you run at scale speed, you would never get faster than 10 miles an hour because trains don't accelerate very quickly. So these are the engines that I took off. They were put in the sin bin for one reason or another, and then they follow on with the snags. Now, then what actually happened here, snag number 1, it wasn't these 2 engines that were the problem, it was a track. On the night shift, we had done a track cleaning operation, but there was a guy who was new to it, and he didn't realize the process. This is the track cleaning train, and these wheels, these are the centerline track cleaners. If you're probably familiar with those. Our process is to put cleaner on the first one and leave the second one dry. The guy didn't know he left that one dry, put fluid on them both, it ran fine on the night shift, but on the day shift, all the fluid had dried on the tracks. And so it took a while to get the trains running. It was okay. To cure, this is the sort of debris we pick up on the main line. It's mainly woodland scenics that gets transposed around.
Mike, what do you use for track cleaning?
I use the it's it does actually say there. Maybe
Oh, it's a solution.
yeah, you can pick it up. It's the CTN, is it something? You pick it up at the regular hobby stores.
Uh, I used to use isopropyl alcohol, but I've switched to mineral spirits, which are less polar, and it works very well. It doesn't leave any residue.
Yeah, well, I've tried a lot of things, but
Mhm.
some of them come with a sort of anti-static
Mhm.
uh, effect, and I think that's what this track cleaning does.
Yeah,
It
okay.
has a sort of it sends away, it repels dust, if you say that.
Mhm.
Does anybody else use track cleaner,
Uh,
Mineral spirits.
mineral spirits?
Oh, yeah.
yes. I also run a vacuum, also a uh, German model to just get rid of hair or debris. But one thing is
Good idea.
when I first lay track, I always use NOx, which prevents oxidation of nickel silver. And when we've used that, we run for years without having to clean track unless we're doing some construction work
Mhm.
and we get glue or paint on the track. Otherwise, there's no oxidation, practically no oxidation.
I think the main problem is dust.
Yeah, I said we run the vacuum truck occasionally, especially when we had 3 cats and 2 dogs in the house.
Yeah, well, I found that you end up with oil, I would say, for want of a better word, grunge,
Mhm.
and that's what comes off on these strips here.
Yeah.
I must say, yeah,
This is the vacuum.
Mhm.
This is the contents of the vacuum bin. Yeah,
I must say, I've very seldom used any kind of cleaner. I just find running trains is the best recipe for
absolutely.
clean track.
What you
Right.
do find is
Yeah.
that
Well,
it accumulates on the wheels,
Hmm.
and so if you keep your wheels clean,
Yeah,
you will also tend to keep the track
Mhm.
clean.
yeah, for
yes,
sure.
it's true.
What well in the local areas, I don't use this system in Windermere because it really suits itself more to the main line.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And remember, I can leave this thing running for an hour, just going round and round.
Yeah.
But in Windermere, I use a bottle corks, half a wine bottle cork.
Mm.
Uh, no, we did treat the tracks with NOx, but it did it for a while. It worked for a while, I think, but I don't know how much of it's left after you clean the track a few times.
Mhm. I've seen a
Yes.
few arguments against using something like a Bright Boy. Has anybody had experience with that?
Well,
Well,
that it
Mhm.
it can leave debris, great boy.
Hmm.
Yeah, it leaves pits in the track.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you really want to burnish the rail, not to you
Yeah.
essentially when you use a brake buoy, you're actually creating grit
Hmm.
and putting
Mhm.
it on and into the rail, and I don't think
Yeah.
that's good. What they used to use at one time was an oak block, a block of wood,
Block of wood.
Hmm.
Yeah, works
Mhm.
real well.
and
Soft.
so the cork bottle has the same effect. The advantage of a cork bottle top is that you can very quickly go over to the grinder, to the belt sander, and skim it off.
Right.
So you end up with a new surface.
Mhm. Anybody else have any thoughts on track cleaning?
or on the layouts.
or on layouts.
Mhm.
I had a question about the RFID system. I'm curious as to what the hardware is that you're using for the detectors and that.
Well, what I'm using is about 3 years ago, there was a guy who, Martin Snareshaw, produced commercially an RFID system called Starfish Rail. And this was very much in the development stage. And I was a sort of beta tester, if you like. But he's since died, unfortunately. And but I belong to the Model Electronic Railway Group, and they are developing one at the moment. Now we got the aerials, and we got the readers. It's so I don't know of anybody that produces one, to be honest.
Okay.
At the moment.
So this doesn't give you real-time track occupancy or anything like that.
Sorry?
That doesn't give you real-time track occupancy or anything like that.
No, and that is the problem in a sense that we've got the front end working quite well in the sense that we can get reliable signals. There are a number of issues involved that you have to be careful about, crossfeed and range and but we got all that sorted out, and we got our low cost tags. I'll show you the tags later if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to get some more information if you have like a link or something like that.
Yeah, well, what I can do, I'll send you. I've got a merge. I'll put the links out.
Okay.
There's a couple of YouTube videos, and one of them, we're on the 31st session, so there's 31 of them out there. So, but I'll send it out. The little about the aerials. The aerials are actually commercially available. They're made by Molex, and they're they're about 5/8 of an inch by half an inch, something like that, and they slide under the track, or they will go under the plywood or under the oversaws and everything. They've got a range of about 1.5 inches.
Okay.
So you don't need to lay them on. You don't need to put them on the track. You don't need to see them. You don't see them.
We had a system which we used for signaling, which was developed a few years back for N scale, where we used a Hall detector, which is very small, buried in the track, and we had magnet on the cars. And the Hall detector would detect the signal from the magnet, and using CMOS chips, it could pretty much make any circuits you want for detection or signaling.
Yeah, the conventional way to do it now is to actually measure the current to the track.
Well, that's
You know whether there's a train there.
yes. Well, the problem.
Locomotives.
One thing is, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the. I mean, I have two layouts I'm working. One is an N scale, but the others I do a bunch of large scale stuff, right? And it's dead track, so that's a bit of a challenge.
Well, this would work for any system because what you're doing is you're detecting a signal from a magnet, which is
Right. Okay. So you were
underneath your
talking
car.
about actually detecting the current on the track. I thought somebody was.
Yeah, but the Hall detector is not a current detector. It's a detector of a magnetic field.
Yeah.
Magnetic field. Yeah.
So you don't need any resistant wheels or anything to do with current. It goes
You see, the
directly into,
detector has to pass over the detector.
yeah, and you send the signal into a CMOS chip, where you can do your logic.
Yeah, well, this RFID works in a similar way, except that you know which train has passed over it.
Yes, right.
So the locomotive specific then, or train specific?
It can be. It You can put it on the locomotive or you can put it on the individual wagons. I use it on. I have a particular carriage or a particular caboose, if you like, that has an RFID tag on it, and so that I see that tag and I say, "Oh, that's train such and such." No, then for dead rail, you could use this. It's not a problem with the RFID system. No, then if you use the train on track indication through sensors, through power sensing, then you can't use dead rail. What you can do, actually, one of the things that you can do is use the railcom system if you're using DCC. And DCC railcom is the locomotive sends back a signal, and so it sees a sensor and sends back a signal to say I've just passed this signal. Now then, that is not that is mainly used in Germany. If you want to play with that, you've really got to learn German because all the instructions are in German. But NMRA sort of have been wavering around and they've done nothing. They've planned to do something for 12 years and they've not got anywhere.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea how it works, like it's commercially used in most airline baggage tags. And like they have a unique identifier on every chip that's in these. They're passive. As soon as the antenna hits it with a signal, it comes alive and transmits its ID. And that's how it works. So you can have a different one on, say, every car, and it gives you unique ID as it passes over the antenna.
What's the range? How close does it need to get to the antenna?
I think Mike was saying what he's talking
That's the inch and a half thing you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the system that the Starfish rail system was specifically designed for model railways, and it was designed for G gauge through to N gauge.
Okay.
So the range is about 2 inches actually. So
how many of these antennas would you have on your layout, for example?
I've got 12.
Okay.
No, 14, sorry.
So when you say 2 inches, that's from the
aerial
tag to the aerial?
Yes.
Okay. So you have them strategically placed around your layout?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else use any kind of a track detection system?
I'm still in the design phases of everything. My whole layout is still digital.
Yeah. I've been looking at the Digitracks. They're different components for track detection. I haven't installed anything yet. I'm still trying to absorb the information, but
Well, track detection has been going many years. If Macklin had one before the war, actually.
yeah.
The way that worked was that there were sensors like Willie was talking about, and basically it would clear the signal and clear the block ahead, and
Right.
so it was a sort of an automatic train control system. So it's not. The technology is moving around.
Yeah.
We did some simple ultrasound-based crossing detections for some crossings that, and the large-scale crossings that people were walking across. So we wanted to make sure that there was an indication so people weren't kicking trains and tripping over trains. So we have some ultrasound-based systems there. We've had a few challenges with those. So the detector was ultrasonic, and then the electronics was Arduino based with the flashing lights and fun stuff like that. But we had a significant problem with water infiltration, so that's
Is
we've
this
now
outdoor?
found,
This is for outdoor, is it?
outdoor large scale, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've now found that the problem was that there were waterproof ultrasound sensors that had a 10-inch range, but we didn't have enough space. So we've now found waterproof sensors that only have a few centimeter range, and so we're rebuilding the whole thing now. So that's our fun project at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're looking at large scale, you could probably use some of the commercially available RFID systems. They use like key tag size tags. They're and there's but they'll be good for outdoor layouts, I would say,
Mhm.
and they're readily available and cheap. Cheapest chips, and you get the Arduino circuitry with them. So,
Right.
so I was telling you, but these are the cassettes. But there was a problem with the cassettes. I got tape, and it was getting ripples, and the wagons were catching on them. So, for the time being, I've just cut the tape away. So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
One of the problems I had was with the KD 58 couplings, number 58 scale couplings. Well, I used to have 3-link couplings, which anybody that knows 3 links would tell you that's a nightmare if you're going to have operation. So I converted to KDs, but I wanted something less obtrusive. So I went to the number 58. Unfortunately, they don't like any undulations in the track, and they don't like running at speed. And any time I get them, I just replace them with number 5s.
Could I ask Vic, what sort of layout do you have, and what are you doing with this?
Well, I've just moved from a home into an apartment, so I had to give up my modular layout. I had 10 module layout. Now I'm experimenting with something called a hex track.
Okay.
These are hex modules that a lot of people that live in confined spaces like apartments and condos and things like that use, because you can take them apart and store them, or you can set them up very quickly. And Cato makes something called Unitrack. And the Unitrack is a powered track, and you can just put it on a module and just hook up your power to it, and you can either run DC or DCC. It doesn't matter. These layouts aren't very large, so you don't really need a bus wire to run DCC.
These are roughly what size your hexagon?
The module itself is 9 3/4 inches, and it's a hexagon. So this kind of gives you, I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yeah.
We have a PowerPoint presentation on hex. We can show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two fellows that did this and presented it to an NMRA club in Michigan, they weren't available. One of them is traveling right now in Europe, and the other one was not available for a Saturday session. So
yeah.
But
if we show that, would you be able to describe?
Yeah, I actually have modules here that I can show in pieces of track if you're interested.
Yeah. Well, let's let Mike finish first, and then we'll see if there's time. We'll try and show that quickly.
Sure, and then if not, maybe we can do it next time.
I think next time would be good. Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
It's after 3. Yeah.
So this is
but I do have a question. Does anyone out there use cab control?
Yes, I use cab control.
No, I meant anyone else.
No.
My father used it in 1950 when he had a Lionel 3-track layout. That's why I was asking.
Mm. By
Okay.
cap control, you mean specifically two different or three different controllers with switches to put to the different tracks?
Well,
Mhm.
he uses the cab control to run the different trains on the same track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that we use DCC for that. So,
Right.
because DC, whatever you put on the track is going to run the same.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of DCC is each individual train is controlled by a module that you have individual control over depending on its address.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by cab control? Yeah?
Hmm?
Is that
No,
what you meant?
cab control is a very old system.
Oh, right.
It was originally used in DC to control
Right.
two trains on the same track.
Okay.
But I haven't heard of it in years, and that's why I was curious.
Okay.
I think most DC users use a form of cap control or one form or another of cap
Yes.
control. But of course, it would be interesting to know what percentage of people have now switched over to DCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my layout was originally built with DC cap control,
Yes.
but I've converted to DCC simply by connecting one side of all my toggles to a DCC system.
Exactly.
Theoretically, I could still use DC locomotives on my layout. I never do, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And that's a very good way to do it. That's a very smart way to do it.
Yeah, I think CN has got the best idea to use dead rail, to be honest.
Yes, if you can
Yeah.
imagine, yes.
I wonder if Sienna and Steve, if you guys could put together a presentation for us on your outdoor layout.
I suppose that, I mean, it's Fred Mill. Those of you in the large scale world may have heard the name Fred Mills. This is his layout in the backyard.
Okay.
I guess a presentation could be put together.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Okay.
You can read a lot about our ops on Mike Hamer's blog.
Mike Hamers?
Mike Hamer, yeah, you may know that he's showed up in the hobby press for his own layout a couple of times, but he writes a blog. I will look up the URL and stick it in the chat. But yeah, he always after every session he has a whole ton of pictures he posts.
Yeah. And where is this layout situated?
In Ottawa.
In Ottawa. Okay. Yeah, any information you could send us would be good.
Okay.
Right, that was something and nothing. That was just a gear that had slipped on the axle.
Mm.
I used this is a handy thing. I use the bottom of a Javex bottle for all my bits. So here, see, this is something about RFID now. So basically, this is the tag on the bottom of the wagon, and this is the actual tag itself, and this is about 0.2 by 0.3 inches.
Mm.
So it's sat at more or less axle height, and these are the experiments that we've been conducting using the different capacitors in here, and this sets the range. It gives you a different range. Now, one of the things that we're concerned about is, for example, the crossfeed. So this is where the antenna is. That's kind of the reader, if you like. But you don't want to read off this antenna here when you've got a train going through here.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is you don't want this crossfeed. Now then, I'll be doing some experiments on the crossfeed to make sure that these new aerial tags that are being developed will not give a problem. I've actually increased the number of trains we run by 4. This is how I make control panels, by the way. Using PowerPoint graphics and putting them on a sheet of metal or plywood. And that's how I do the control panels. This is more about how they run, and this is the trains of the day, if you like, and shows the goods trains that are being used. This is a bit on this guy here who was one of the early locomotive developers. He actually sold them commercially, exported over the world, predating the Stephenson's rocket. So that's about 1820 or thereabouts. But this is the rack system that was used for power. They couldn't have heavy rails and they couldn't have heavy locomotives, so they saw the rack as a way to do that. You could keep the locomotive light. Anyway, I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, certainly a different approach. As I say, I kind of I have received your reports, and I always wondered how you got such detail. And I couldn't imagine you sitting there with pen and paper, and writing all that stuff down. So,
Yeah. So I think maybe we should conclude there.